Hi, have you ever heard of someone going so far in their career in such a short amount of time? I'm going to be interviewing Lisa Mosley. She used to be an administrative assistant at ASU, Arizona State University. Now she's the assistant vice president of research operations. In fact, unfortunately, to some of us here at ASU who get to work with her, she's been offered a job at Yale University where she's going to be overseeing the entire research operations department there. She's a huge mentor to me. I'd love to get to peek into her brain about leadership skills, and that's exactly what we'll get to do. Lisa's had some struggles at ASU. She's come a long way, and it's not something that's been easy along the way. She had to step out of her comfort zone quite a bit, so much, in fact, that she felt more comfortable outside of her comfort zone than in her comfort zone. She's had disappointments, she's had hurt feelings, and she's had experiences with wanting and needing to always be right and just have that fit in. She's always maintained being approachable. And even through negative situations, she's always had the aspect of what can I learn out of this situation? And that's something that I've learned from her a lot too. So let's just go into the interview, and I'll start with the first question that I asked her. I wanted to know, as a leader, what does she feel is her best asset? And her asset is that don't let your ego get in the way. Stay approachable, stay focused. And she feels like that's been her best asset. And I can vouch that she is incredibly approachable. She does not have an ego, and she stays very focused. She wants to remind everybody that as a leader, it's not about you. It's about who you're working for. And that's not always who you report to. So that goes into my next question, which was, what's your leadership style? And she said she's approachable. She doesn't know that that's officially a label, which I haven't actually come across in our leadership classes, but she wants people to feel comfortable with coming to her with their problems. Segueing into the next one, I asked, what's her greatest strength? And do you recall when you discovered this about yourself? And she says she likes to listen to people and understand what their challenge is, sometimes before they even know what their challenge is. She tries to help guide them to their own conclusion so they can maintain ownership of the issue and the solution. That's really important to understand because I've had firsthand experience with this. Lisa's been a mentor of mine for about a year now, and I've gotten to have one-on-ones with her, and I've gone to her with my struggles and have expressed to her things that I'm going through, and she was able to identify. I mean, I've done this a handful of times, but one of the times, I'm giving an example, she was able to identify, you're lacking confidence in what you do. And I didn't even realize that about myself. But once she had said that, I was kind of like, you're completely right. And she kind of gave me some tools and some self-confidence in little areas, but the ownership and allowing me to come to my own conclusions in areas where I needed to accept accountability and challenge myself was something that was like shocking that she could do to me. But if she could do it to me, she can do it to so many people, which hence why she's amazing. I asked if she's more effective in a group or a one-on-one basis, and she said she's pretty effective in both, but she prefers and thinks that she's probably best one-on-one, and I could agree. But I love getting to have her time and her knowledge in both aspects. So describe a time where you took a leadership position and you didn't have the title. I really wanted to ask this question because I'm in a leadership position, but I do not have a title. I work at ASU. If I didn't already clarify that, I'm pretty proud of it. And I do not have any kind of managerial position, any kind of supervising position, but I am in a leadership position throughout the research community. And I'm part of a leadership emerging leadership committee where Lisa Mosley hosts this committee. And it's just a group of 10 or 12 of us where we all get together from different schools of ASU to try and figure out innovative ways that we can pilot new ideas, bring people together, and do things like that. So I really wanted to get her aspect on how can you be a leader without having that leadership role, and tell me how you've done it. So she did say indirect leadership is very difficult. Indirect leadership. I hadn't heard it called that before, but it was good to put a name to it. She focuses on being very knowledgeable and fair. She wasn't ever trying to be in charge of anything. I use past tense because she is kind of in charge of some things now. She think people trusted her because she wasn't trying to be fair, and not everyone always respected her opinion because she had less experience than a lot of the roles that she was leading. But it's not always about knowledge as much as it is giving guidance and leadership. And she maintained confidence in her approach when she would approach people with things. So just because you don't have the title or a team that you're leading, you can still demonstrate leadership. Being proactive, responsive, sharing your knowledge, modeling behavior, being open to feedback, listening, staying focused on solution versus your personal preference. Remember, it cannot be about you. You cannot let your ego get in the way. Being accountable, they're all perspectives of a leader. They're all going to be characteristics, I should say, as a leader. And you can measure your success against the ability to embody these traits. Do you practice these? Do you feel confident in these? Take notes on those and see, test yourself after a week and see how you are with those. And if you're wanting to be a leader in your role, do you really portray those? Do you practice them? And do other people recognize you for those? So those are really good ways to measure yourself in indirect leadership. So I really wanted to focus on that. What is the most difficult part of being a leader? I liked this question too, because not everyone wants to be a leader. Some people want to come and do their job and leave, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody is needed in some certain role. And her thing is that people don't always understand. People don't want to be open to changes all the time, and you're just simply not always going to be liked. So that's probably the most difficult part of being a leader for Lisa. And how can a leader fail? I asked, and she said again, don't let your ego get in the way. There's so many ways a leader can fail, but that's her biggest one. Be confident, but don't forget what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. You're here to help others. You're not here for any kind of profit. You're not here for any kind of results other than the other individual's growth and needs, and how are you guiding them. So don't let your ego get in the way. And that can happen sometimes, as everybody probably knows. How would you deliver bad news to your team? I wanted to ask Lisa this because I've been in situations with Lisa where I've received bad news from Lisa. And I just want to know, how do you do that? How do you do that behind the scenes? How do you do that so easily and gracefully? And quickly, honestly, and directly. And I actually knew that before I asked her that question, but I still just wanted to put it in the interview. I've implemented that as myself, just not even in a leadership role, but just in general, because sometimes if you're like, oh my gosh, I need to tell my boss I'm going to be out for an entire week next month. And you just start stressing about it. You're like, oh my gosh, I gotta ask. Just do it. Just do it quickly, directly, and honestly. Even so, that's as a non-leader, but in a leader role, just do it quickly, honestly, directly. What do you get the most criticism about? Her biggest area of weakness is in the details of technology and system implementation. And she doesn't take sides, which is frustrating for some people. And she's incredibly impartial. I've noticed that about her, and it is incredibly frustrating because I've come to her with situations where I'm like, did you know, da, 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 or so-and-so and so-and-so, and she's like, how can I help you, kind of thing. And it's like, I want you to vent to me. I want you to tell me you feel the same way as me. And she's, honest to God, she is the type of person that sees a situation and instantly let's figure out how we can work through it. How can we find the results? She's impartial. I'm sure her little mind has opinions, but she's incredibly impartial. And I don't criticize her for that, but I can see that she gets criticism, at least probably she might feel criticism if other people are giving her looks like, what? But it's a great skill to embody. She once told me that it is a goal of hers for nobody to know that they aren't liked by her. So I say that, and you might think, yeah, I don't want other people to think I don't like them either. But how often do you go to someone and like, did you know Mr. Professor Peabody? And the person's like, oh gosh, yes, that guy. She never has those kind of reactions. You would never know if she does not like the most disliked person. You would never know where she stands politically. You would never know where she stands with any kind of gossipy thing. She stands incredibly unbiased. That goes against her goals. So that's a really hard thing to do, but she does it, and she does it really well. So I also wanted to ask, I too much, so I'm trying to highlight some of the important things that I wanted to ask her, but how do you handle a time when you had to make an unpopular decision? That's another one I wanted to ask, because being in the role that she's in, I can only imagine how many unpopular decisions she's had to make, along with delivering bad news. But she takes their point of view. She really, really needs to make sure that she understands all the point of views. And once she understands everybody's perspective, or at least the other party's perspective, an argument can be avoided, but she really needs to make sure she fully understands that. And I took this as a little bit of interpersonal leadership. A lot of Lisa I see as task leadership, but I think she's very, very balanced in task and interpersonal. She wants to get the job done. She wants to get done and move on. Let's go on to the next thing. But she develops relationships, and she praises where praise needs to be done. She stays personable. So I think it's a great balance, and I think that contributes a lot to her success. So, and then last but not least, I wanted to ask, how do you encourage the development of your employees? Again, this is if you are in a leadership managerial role, but she reminds them that they are in charge of their own development. I asked her one time, Lisa, do you think I'm ready for a senior role? And she said, I don't know. Do you think you're ready for a senior role? It's your career, it's your professional development, and it doesn't always have to be Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. You just have to make your growth priority. And if you're ready, then yeah, you're ready. I was like, okay, well, let me reanalyze things. It definitely made me take a step back, like, well, just because it says this on paper and I can do this doesn't mean I should be that role. Am I really ready for that role? Am I really ready for what a senior level is going to take on? So she can help them get the resources, but they have to do the work. So that I really like that about her. And Lisa's a really, really great person for me. I'm going to miss her a lot when she moves on to Yale. I'm not going to get her as often as I do now, but I'm never going to lose her as a mentor. I'm always going to have the perspective of, even if I'm in a negative situation, I'm going to take the outlook of, well, what am I learning? What am I learning in this situation? I might have the worst coworker or boss or whatever, but what am I learning? I'm going to learn something out of every situation, and that's probably the best thing I'm able to take away from Lisa's guidance is you're always going to be able to learn something, and you are in charge of your own growth, and don't let your ego get in the way. And so many great little tidbits from Lisa, but those are probably the main three: is ego and what am I going to learn, and you're in charge of yourself. So thank you guys for listening, and I hope you got something out of this, and I look forward to looking at everybody else's videos. All right, take care, everybody.